Hey, I'm just Roscoe and we're back in The Sims. Now in this build I thought I'd do a typical British terraced house. Obviously I'm building, it's not obvious, but it will be when you see it. I'm building 3 terraced houses, but obviously we're only using the centre one because The Sims doesn't allow us to use the others, which would be really, wouldn't it be nice if you could have terraced housing where you could have 3 families, one living in each lot. Like you could define the lots. Like imagine a click and drag system that said this is their territory and it would recognise that as their lot. Anything on these squares is theirs. How cool would that be? A bit like when you went back to apartment life and you could set you had the apartment doors so it would recognise that as someone's apartment, and then you could have a different family living in a different apartment. Maybe one day we will actually get that. That would be really nice. I still see we've got the new update where we can move the things around. Still can't put 2 windows. I'm going to say it every time. We still can't put 2 windows on the same spot. When I was building this, I hadn't actually bought, because at this point, speaking to you, I have most of the DLC now and the extras and the packs and stuff. But whilst building this, I didn't actually have it. University is the one that's jumping to mind, because some of the windows that come in University would have actually been really good for this build, but I didn't have it at that point, so it was probably the biggest headache whilst building, was trying to find the right windows to make the bay windows work. One of the things I'd really like is columns. If I could put columns wherever I wanted them, that would work really nicely, because I wanted columns running down between the windows on the bay window, so it felt like a stone bay window, so it was all built in sort of thing. But obviously you can only put columns on the corners of things, not where you want them. Well, no, that's not what I mean. Obviously people do want columns on the corner, but that's not where I want it. I want it somewhere else, and I just want the ability to move it there. So these are all straightforward on the front. They're all pretty much the same. The gardens very much determine the front of the house. I'm thinking a lot of these houses around by us, the front of the house is actually listed. The front wall, the house I live in, the wall at the front of our house is listed. We can do anything we like to the back of the house, but we have to get permission to do the front of the house. So rather than having these painted different colours, I've left them brick, because I'm just going to go with the illusion they're listed. Obviously on the back you can see they've painted and added different extensions and things like that. You would have had they all started off with that small bit on the back where you had the kitchen, and there would have been an outhouse attached from the outside in the back garden originally. But some, like the middle house, we've extended it so they've put an upstairs on it. The far right house, if I remember correctly, we do make it look like they've extended the downstairs and we've used a different brick, so it looks like you can clearly see where the extension was. Here's where I get a bit frustrated messing around. I don't know, I did get the pillars where I wanted them, but they don't run all the way to the floor. Like if you've got a what's it called, a foundation, that's the word I was looking for, foundation. If you've got a foundation, the columns sit on the foundation, not on the floor. Either way, it didn't do what I wanted it to do, so I've sort of played around and eventually found the windows I wanted. Again, there's some really nice windows in the medium-sized walls and the tall walls, but they're a bit big for me. I like the small wall. I would like the versions of those bigger windows in smaller sizes. There's a lot I'd like. Every video I go, I'd like this, but no. The stairs we're using here are really nice. They've got that tiled effect on the front, and a lot of these old Victorian houses would have had a tiled path leading up to them. And we do a tiled path on 2 of the houses, and on the far right it's almost like the stairs have broken or the tiles have broken and they've replaced it with bore-in concrete. That was something we like to do. It's a bit like if you come to the UK, you'll see derelict, run-down churches and priories and things like that. And over the years, not nowadays, because we try to reserve our history. But years ago, to patch it up to stop it falling down, they put brick and things in it. There's some prime examples in the city I live in where they've just patched it out with brick. So you've got this beautiful carved limestone wreck, really. It's run down and there's like partial walls of it, but it's still beautiful. And to preserve this years ago, they put brick into it, and you're like, ah, really? So I really wanted to get like that concrete path in one of these, so it showed like you had this beautiful Victorian tiled path, and then somewhere along the line someone's gone, do you know what, I want a concrete path. So we do that on the very far right, if I'm correct. Yeah, there we go. And we even changed the steps, so they had the steps done at the same time. And look how much boring that looks compared to the others. The others are much more beautiful. Obviously they took a lot more work to maintain and put down and things like that. In real life, not in The Sims, it takes the same either way, whichever material I use. This end one, we're actually making, it looks a bit run down in the garden, but it's the time of year. That's why all the plants are unbeautified and the trees are half sort of shedded, half dead they look. I wish in build mode you can actually change the season. If you can change the season, please let me know in the comments below, because I have no idea how to do it. I was actually trying to build the other day and it was winter and everything was covered in snow, and I was like, but this isn't good for what I need it for. I need it to be easy and clear to see on the video, and if everything's covered in white, that's not the case. But I don't actually know if you can change the season whilst building. So if anyone knows if you can, that would be amazing. Just pop it in the comments below, please. I really need that information if I can do it. Here we're just going along putting some gates in. I wanted some quite large gates. These are large Victorian houses. This end one glitched out on me really bad. If you see there, that piece of fence just disappeared and would never go back there ever. It just wouldn't. So in the end, I think I ended up using a bush or something to make it feel like there is a fence there. It's just hidden under an overgrown bush. I do have a habit of using gravel in the gardens, as you saw in the front house. The middle house is the house I'm playing with. I've actually created a family, and I did actually play in this house. It was actually a nice house to play in. I've made the dad a detective. They've got 2 children. The kids have grown up now, I think. Because I go off and play a different family, and obviously all the other families still age up. So I went back. Yesterday actually I went back on it, and the 2 kids had grown up, but obviously their bedrooms were still designed for children, so it was a bit weird. I have to go back and change it all around and make it suitable for grown adults. The daughter, in fact, I took off to be an explorer in the temples, because I've never been in the Jungle Adventure Pack. I've got it, but I've never used it, and it's actually really beautiful, and there's some nice pieces in it. I may have got her poisoned and she came out in green spots and that and was going to die. That was the downside of that. So if you're going to go to the temples, beware, you may get poisoned, and then I think you've got like 4 days to find a cure or something like that. But it doesn't explain to you how to find a cure. So if anyone does get poisoned and you don't know how to get a cure, you can buy one online for 1,000 Simloleons? I don't know what they call the currency in Sims. 1,000 money, or you can go and talk to someone in the village, apparently, the marketplace, to find a cure, but that didn't work for me. My Sim's a bit mean, you see. She's got a mean side, so she just kept being mean to everyone, so no one would have helped me even if I wanted them to. So along the back you can really distinguish the difference between these houses, because the extra extensions and the paint jobs and the gardens are very different. The one we're in has got a nice decked area. I do the interior walls. I don't decorate or anything like that. I just put them in case anyone ever wants to see me furnish these 2. If you do want to see me furnish the other buildings, just pop a comment in the comment section and I'll be quite happy to go along and furnish them. I did a thing with the middle house where I put all, because I feel like it must be annoying to watch me because I spend ages scrolling through the items below and not a lot happens, so I thought I'd try putting everything I want in the back garden, so at one point you're just going to see it skip and then the garden is absolutely full of things that I like. and then I just go and get from there to decorate with. Now, I don't know if this is a good way of doing it or not. Your feedback would be greatly appreciated. If you'd prefer me to go through the menu and take piece by piece, I can do that. Or if you like the idea of me putting it in the back, like getting it all out ready and then going and moving it into position, that also works for me. I just would like to know which you'd prefer. I have been a bit generous with the layout of these buildings. My parents and my sister live in a house almost identical to this layout, and we'd probably have to skim off another 2 tiles width-wise to make it realistic. Like, the hallway would definitely only be 1 tile wide, and the living room area would definitely be a tile less width, because I managed to actually get a closet in this build as well. We put a closet so you got somewhere to put your coats and things. In reality, you would go into our houses and there would be hooks on the wall just by the front door, which has normally got about 40 coats on it, even though there's only 2 people living in the house. All their coats must live on that hook. That is a very common thing in UK houses. So we're just going for a nice fireplace in the middle here. We're building some bookcases either side. In reality, they'd probably be filled with DVDs, not books. I'd have them filled with books personally. I love reading and writing, and I've actually put a character in The Sims who I mentioned in the last video. Audrian Brittlewood, who is a wizard detective. He's actually out of one of my stories that I've written. So I like The Sims to be I like to put my own character in that I've created and try and live the sim life, but as like in my story he is a wizard detective, and The Sims gives me the opportunity to actually live that life, which is really cool. Here I'm just going to go for some blinds on the windows. I was thinking of curtains. If you go into most UK houses, it is curtains. We do like our curtains in this country. I personally prefer blinds or nothing. If you can get away with not having anything, great. The more our windows aren't exactly the biggest in this country, so the more light you can get flooding into the room, the better, in my opinion. And the one thing I hate the most, is net curtains. We do like our net curtains over here, and they're vile. They block out so much light, and they remind you of your grandmother. Anyone who's got net curtains, I do apologise. That's just my personal opinion, of course. I just think you need to let as much light into your house as possible. That is the way to do it. Here I think I'm messing around, and it's at this point I go, oh, I'm spending way too long in the menu, I need to do something, and then we just throw loads of things into the back garden. I'm sure we do. Yep, there we go. Loads of things in the back garden. I've just gone through the menu and gone, oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. Now, that little closet, I'm not actually sure if it's usable. They can actually get to the decorating box and decorate for Christmas and things like, it's not Christmas in The Sims, whatever it's called, or the festive holidays in The Sims. You can actually decorate still, but I wouldn't imagine they'd be able to actually reach their coats and boots, but they might do. I'm slowly learning what sort of space they actually need to do tasks. Here we're just sort of cluttering up the place. This is a family home. It's got 2 parents and 2 children. I want it to feel like there's a lot of stuff. It's lived in. Things are shoved around. Like, we got the toy box downstairs. I do actually give a study area in the dining room, just sort of pushed into an alcove, because this building sort of ended up with 4 bedrooms somehow, because in reality these buildings were around by us anyway. They've only got 3 bedrooms, and I've ended up with 2 bedrooms on the front of the house, and I think that's just because I've made the house too wide. So I've tried to make it that one of the upstairs bedrooms was originally a study for the dad. That was his office. And as the kids have come along, they've needed places like a playroom and things like that. And their bedrooms aren't exactly huge, the kids, so the dad's been sort of shoved out of the study and shoved into this little alcove in the dining room, and the kids have taken over his office as a playroom. But the mum sort of tries to hide it. You'll see that I put in a screen so the dad's sort of shoved in the corner, hidden behind this screen, so all this rubbish isn't on display, sort of thing. It works like really nice. This house feels so lived in, and that's the one thing I really try and achieve in my builds. I want it to feel like people actually live in these houses and they're not showrooms. Like, showrooms are beautiful, but they're not practical to live in. People make mess. It's just a natural occurrence. You put things down, you need places for your belongings, and we like to display our belongings. I'd quite happily hide my belongings away so everything looked crisp and fresh, but that's not actually how people live. This family do like their colours, so we've got the bright orange hallway. Again, very popular in the UK. You've got this nice, like, really small space, and they decide that a bright colour is the way to fix it. So you end up with, my sister's house is a prime example. She's got bright colours throughout her house. Like, at one time, the little toilet down, like their toilet, they've got the bathroom to the right and then just the toilet in a separate room, and she painted it like luminous pink. I actually had to put sunglasses on every time I went in to use it. It was horrendous, but she does like her colours, and people seem to choose the smallest room to do in the brightest colours, and I'm not sure that's the way to go. Here we are working on the dad's office area. We get some shelves in there, we fill it up with some of his paperwork and that, and you can see why the mum wants to hide it away, because it's actually quite a nice room and it does look a bit crowded in that corner. But bless him, he has given up his office for the children, so you got to give him some leeway, really, love. I love the fireplace in this room, where you've got the fire surround, and I've just used that thing to make it feel like a decorative fireplace. I really like having a decorative fire surround. I don't think we've ever had that in any other Sims games. I think it's always been an actual fireplace, where this isn't. It is just the surround. It's like a lot of these houses, they take the chimney breasts out or they block them up over the years. And ultimately, that's not actually a good thing, because the chimney breasts years ago were designed so the house, they help the house breathe. And over the years, we block them up, and it stops the airflow through the whole house, and then you end up with like damp problems. Terraced houses, especially the old ones like this, are very commonly known for damp and things like that. And I personally think it's because we block up all the fireplaces and we stop the air from circulating. Modern houses are built so air circulates naturally. These buildings were not. I'm putting a load of bills on the desk there just because I want it to feel like he's got a lot of things to worry about. He works full-time as a detective. He's got a family to support. The bills are coming in. He's not quite up together on them. Again, nice colour on that wall there with that giant picture. I think I put a load of pictures and plants and things around the house. I do like my plants. I think in reality I actually only have one plant in my entire house, and that is because I'm rubbish at looking after them. Ideally, if I lived in The Sims and I didn't have to actually care for the plants, I would have plants everywhere. I like the idea of bringing the outdoors in. So you will see a lot of plants in my build. Now this is quite a long build because we've got so many rooms to furnish. I actually really enjoy it. It's about 37 minutes long, this video. If you'd prefer me to have done this in 2 videos, please put it in the comments below. I'd quite happily split it down to 2, so you'd have part 1 and part 2. I am looking at doing some live builds. I just want to get a bit more experience with building quickly, because I don't really want to do 4 episodes on one build. I feel that's stretching it a little bit. So even if I manage to do the build in one video and furnishing it in another video, that would also work, but I'm going to try and get it all done in one video. That's my plan. I just have to learn where everything is and learn to do it quicker. I must admit, I do take my time when building. I am a smoker, so I have to go for cigarette breaks, you see. And tea breaks. We should always have tea. I've actually got a cup of tea in my hand right now, because talking makes my mouth dry. So here we're just putting in his office stuff. I wanted it to feel really like cluttered in that corner. And I think I've achieved it quite well. This kitchen is massive compared to what we get in our terraced houses round our way. You would literally have unit, one tile walkway and units. It's very much galley kitchens, but it would only be one tile wide between the units. That's as big as our kitchens get around here. A lot of houses nowadays, they would have extended this back area to make the kitchen bigger. But then you lose the window into the dining room then, so you're losing light coming in there. And because there's an upstairs in the building, it's not like you could put a skylight or anything in. You'd have to put massive bifolding doors or something into the dining room to let as much light through as possible. Oh no, because you couldn't, because there would be a building there. I don't know. I just think if you extend this outwards, the dining room is going to be quite dark. I don't know how you get around that. I'm babbling now, can you tell? That's because this video is actually quite long and I don't really want to tell you what's going on screen because you can clearly see what's going on the screen. The bathroom downstairs, really nice. Originally we only had bathrooms downstairs in these sort of buildings. And a lot of buildings round our way still do only have the bathroom downstairs. They've sort of you would have had the kitchen and then like a scullery and then the outside toilet all sort of blocked onto the end, and people have extended and knocked those things through and made downstairs bathrooms because you lose a bedroom if you put it upstairs, so the bathrooms still tend to be downstairs. Some of the houses actually still have outside toilets that are working. I remember my auntie was renting a house a couple of roads away and that had an outside toilet, so when you went round for a barbecue or whatever, there wasn't very far to go for the toilet because there it was. It wasn't very nice. Because it was outside, you get a lot of spiders and cobwebs, and I hate spiders. I wouldn't use it. Like you'd have to sedate me and to put me in there. I was like, no, I'll go all the way upstairs. Thank you very much. Don't do spiders. Luckily, that's one thing we don't have to worry about in The Sims. They don't have spiders producing cobwebs and things like that. Although I did use a lot of cobwebs in my derelict cottage build. Which I did, basically. It's a derelict cottage. I don't know if I did a video for it. I don't think I did. I did a derelict cottage. It's really run down. There's graffiti everywhere, cobwebs. It's an awful layout. And there's a hobo living in the back garden, pretty much. And the idea was I put it onto the Sims store workshop thingy, and it was there for you to download and try and fix. If you want to give that a go, look for the hashtag JustRoscoe. I'd really like to see what you do with it as well. So if you do take on that challenge, please let me know. Hit me up on Twitter or something like that, and I'd love to see it. The only rule with it is the building is listed. So the building must stay the same on the outside size-wise. You can't start changing walls on the exterior or anything like that. You can change the windows and things like decorative bits, but the actual size and shape, there's no extension. You have to work with the space you've got, and it's not a lot of space in all fairness. It's an awful layout. You'd probably have to really think about and redesign the layout. But if anyone wants to give that challenge a go, please do it and sort of shout me on Twitter. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. Yeah, shout me on Twitter. I'd really love to see people's attempts at fixing it. I haven't actually fixed it yet. I was going to do a video on it. I might get on to that, so I'll do a video and then you lot can see what the building looks like, and if you fancy giving it a go, it is there. It's there now. All my builds are on the Steam. Origin won't be happy with me saying Steam in one of their game videos, will it? all of them are on the Sims Workshop thing store. I'm going to call it Workshop. I like that, the Sims Workshop. Here I'm just cluttering up the utility room. It's very common in the UK to have your washing machines in the kitchen. Obviously this is quite a small kitchen and we don't have many worktops, and another thing, we would have it under the worktop, so the worktop would continue along and it would just be fitted in underneath. In The Sims it doesn't work like that. You can't put it into a cupboard so the worktop carries along on top, and that's why I very much tend to put utility rooms in. They are becoming more popular nowadays, but because of the lack of space in our older buildings, you still tend to get the washing machines in the kitchen. Which my colleague at work, who's Polish, finds it very bizarre that we have. There's some things she finds very bizarre. One is that we have washing machines in the kitchen, because she would have it in the bathroom. Which again, I suppose would make sense. Like, we put it in the kitchen because that's where it goes. That's where we've always known it. And there's a water source. But I suppose there's a water source in the bathroom as well. So bathroom would work. What was the other thing she didn't understand? Oh, she can't get it in her head why we still have a hot tap and a cold tap. She says, like, one's boiling hot and burns your hands off, and the other's freezing cold, and she doesn't get it because back home she has mixer taps on everything. Well, we don't in Britain. We do very much still have a hot tap and a cold tap. And she does have a point. A mixer tap would be better. You tend to find nowadays in the UK mixer taps on your kitchen sink, and then still you get the cold and hot tap on your bathroom sink. I don't know why we only find it acceptable for the kitchen. People also find it weird that we use a washing up bowl to wash up in. Like, why don't we just wash up in the sink? But we don't. We like to have a plastic bowl, and I have no idea why. I think that's just habit passed down through the generations. My mum used a washing up bowl, I'm going to use a washing up bowl. Because I don't use a washing up bowl, I just fill up the sink and do it in there, which seems logical to me. I don't see the point in a bowl, but apparently it's very popular across the country. Here we're just decorating the upstairs. I'm trying to make it feel like it's lived in. It's not too up to date on the decor, and that works really nicely. This is even splitting this front room into 2 rooms, which it wouldn't be normally. The front room would be the master bedroom. It's still a huge master bedroom. There's loads of space. We even get an ensuite into it. Like, this house has 2 bathrooms upstairs. In a terraced house round here, you'd struggle to get 1 bathroom upstairs, let alone 2. But this, yeah, the scale went a bit mad on this house. But I don't mind. He's a detective. He makes lots of money. That's my excuse. He can afford a big house like this. It would be interesting to do the other 2 houses, actually. Do the interiors into them and see how I can make them different. Maybe I would put a massive bedroom on the front of one of them. You could have an ensuite and a walk-in wardrobe on it, because it would have that much space. That would be an idea. I might have to look into doing the other builds. Actually doing the interior and seeing, one could have been quite modernised and up to date, so lots of, well, I say modernised, lots of cream walls. That's what we think in the UK as modern, nice cream walls, plain walls. The occasional random wallpaper on the chimney breast. If you look at my studio I'm sat in at the moment, all the walls are cream, and then the one wall, the chimney breast wall, does actually have really mad wallpaper on. When next time I do a live stream, I'll show you the wallpaper. I really love it. It was a nightmare to pull up. It's like really thin and shiny, and I'm not a fan. I'm not the best at putting up wallpaper normally, but this was a nightmare to put up. I think I did a good job though, so it looks nice. That's the main thing. I've got a nice studio set up. Here we go with the lovely bedroom, which the furniture just looks like the beds and the bedside tables, and I don't know what it is. That pink striped bedding with that combination, it just makes it feel quite old and lived in, and I really like that. I was trying to put a seat window in there, but they're not big enough. We could do with a seat window that's just slightly wider so it fits in there, because it is the perfect shape as well. I suppose we could make the windows so they're only only 1 block in the middle rather than 2, because we go 1 diagonal, 2 across, 1 diagonal. We could just go 1 diagonal, 1 across, 1 diagonal. That would make sense. So yes. Now I'm going to stop babbling away. There's not much of the video left. You're just going to see me do the rest of the upstairs. Obviously keep in mind that was the dad's study that we're turning into a toy room, so they haven't actually redecorated. They've just done their best to make it feel toy room-ish. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, and if you haven't done already, please subscribe. It really does help the channel. And until next time, I'll see you again.